The Way to Enlightenment. Chapter 12. The Perception of Time. The individual mind, the one that lives in the hologram, experiences the events and wants to foresee future results. This alters the emotional state and resents the physiology. The more it is altered, the more anxious it is, the more it reinforces the perception of lack of time, as if it shrinks. On the contrary, the more calm and focused on what this mind is doing, the more it lives in the present without worrying about the near future, the slower it will seem the passage of time, and it will have the feeling that there is enough time for everything. When you get rid of expectations and living every moment fully focused on what you are doing, without worrying about the future, the more time you have, the quieter you are, and so do the body experiences it. When we worry about the future and anticipate it, the passage of time is reflected in our bodies and we appear older than the chronological age. Our individual mind is caught in the inexorable belief in time. This is possible because it, itself, decided it so to be, but it is not aware of it. And that is why it does not seek in itself the solution to this problem. Our body ages and dies for the simple reason that we believe that there are certain diseases that correspond to a certain age. We are not aware that they are the product of a society in which old age is scary, and is attributed to decrepitude instead of wisdom. The mind that does not feel valued, it does not feel useful, ages, and it stops feeding the body with brilliant thoughts, and, instead it offers thoughts of loneliness and devaluation. That is why we can use the mind in two ways. The first is to live in a hurry and lack of time, a mind that projects constantly in the future or that takes refuge in the past, that wants to control. A mind governed by the ego. The other way of using the mind is to live each present moment fully, apart from events, apart from the temporal, knowing that each decision determines the next instant present. It is a mind that uses psychological time without pressure, without hurry, a mind governed by the spirit. The first is a mind controlled by the judgment of the ego, and believes that it has to solve problems that arise outside of itself. The mind governed by the spirit, on the contrary, is free of judgments and surrenders everything to the original mind so that it inspires the most sensible decisions in each situation that it experiences. Time is like a carpet made from instants. Each one is an opportunity to choose and allows you to shape the next moment. If we live every moment without judgment and with forgiveness, they are all the same, and we begin to live in eternity. Forgiveness is what totally frees us from time and what allows us to learn that the past has already passed. What has not been forgiven is a voice that calls from a past that has passed forever. Let us liberate from this oxidizing emotion that binds us to events that have already passed, but that, as they have not been forgiven, they come constantly to our mind and make us living moments of pain. That is why we must use every moment as a moment of glorious liberation. As if that magnificent moment were the only space-time we have to live. Then the glorious moment takes us into eternity, in which everything is here and now at our disposal. For this, we have to free the mind from the feeling of guilt. Our physical wounds, those wounds that do not heal, feed on emotional wounds that put guilt on the mind. Guilt makes us feel anger. We repress those emotions, but without undoing them. They live in our mind and are expressed in our body in the form of recurrent infections that speak of guilt and more guilt. In the world of illusion, this is not understood, because for the ego we are all separated and everything is disconnected, and painful events are attributed to bad luck. The ego is always remembering old wounds, always careful not to repeat them, thinking that, in this way, it can move away from them. The ego does not realize that the more attention it gives to past painful events, the more it will attract them again into its life.